Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Tutor Tuesday. My name is Dan from Dan's Test Prep, and if you're watching this right now, thank you very much, because this is going to be our first pre-recorded session. The way this session is going to work is actually a little bit different than some of the other sessions. We're going to be focusing this one exclusively on the digital SAT, which is going to include both math and reading and writing. So I have 15 questions for you guys today. Let's see how quickly we can get through them. This is my first time doing all of these questions, so you'll get to see my exact thought process as we go through them. Okay, question number one here says the scatter plot above shows the number of visitors to a railroad museum in Pennsylvania each year from 1968 to 1980, where T is the number of years since 1968 and N is the number of visitors. A line of best fit is also shown. Which of the following could be an equation of the line of best fit shown? Well, definitely I see that the intercept of the line of best fit is close to 20,000. So I'm going to rule out something like A or C that have very, something like B or D. We're going to rule those out because their intercepts, y-intercepts, are quite far from that value. 16,000 is a pretty good estimate, so now we just have to get the slope. And for the slope, I can kind of just take my rise over run here. So I can estimate using this point right here, after 10 years, it's at about 62,000. And at 0 years, it's about 16,000. So if we take 60,000 minus 16,000, 60,000 minus 16,000, we get about 44,000 difference. And if we take that and divide by 10, then that gives us our slope, approximately 4,400 per year. So of course, the one that matches up with that is going to be answer choice A. It's got the intercept close to around 16,000, and it's got a slope of around 4,400, what we calculated. It's actually 4,680 here, which is a lot closer than 9,000. Next one here. The manager of an online news service received the report above on the number of subscriptions sold by the service. The manager estimated that the percent increase from 2012 to 2013 would double the percent increase from 2013 to 2014. How many subscriptions did the manager expect would be sold in 2014? Let's see. So the percent increase, to get the percent increase between these 2 years, I'm just going to divide these two numbers. So 5880 divided by 5600 is going to be around 1.05. And from that, I can extract the 0.05, which means that I multiplied from here times 1.05. Multiplying by 1 means I keep the same value, but the 0.05 is an extra 5% growth. That 5% is the actual growth from 2012 to 2013. Now, right here we see the increase from 2013 to 2014 is going to be different. Actually, from 2012 to 2013, we expect this increase to be double the increase from 2013 to 2014. That means this increase must be only 2.5%, since this one is double that. And if we take our number 5880 and multiply by 1.025, converting that 2.5% into a decimal, we're going to get 6,027. That leads us to answer choice B. Okay. Next one looks like a reading question. Let's do a different color for that. So Barchester Towers is an 1857 novel by Anthony Trollope. In the novel, Trollope's portrayal of Dr. Prudy underscores the character's exaggerated sense of his own abilities. Which quotation from Barchester Towers most effectively illustrates the claim? Well, let me see. So I don't forget the claim. Trollope's portrayal of Dr. Prudy underscores the character's exaggerated sense of his own abilities. So it highlights his exaggerated sense of his own abilities. Let's see. It must not be taken as proved that Dr. Prudy was a man of great mental powers, or even of much capacity for business, for such qualities had not been required in him. Not sure about that one. Dr. Prudy was comparatively young, and had, as he fondly flattered himself, been selected as possessing such gifts, natural and acquired, as must be sure to recommend him to a yet higher notice. I do see something that does relate to an exaggerated sense of self. It says Dr. Prudy fondly flattered himself. Fondly flattered himself would mean that he's gassing himself up. He's highlighting his exaggerated, or he's exaggerating his sense of his own abilities. So I'm going to go with B for now, but let's make sure to rule out C and D. Dr. Prudy's residence in the metropolis, rendered necessary by his duties thus entrusted to him, his high connections, and his peculiar talents of the nature of the man recommended him to persons in power. It doesn't really say anything about his sense of self. Dr. Prudy was certainly possessed of sufficient tact to answer the purpose for which he was required without making himself troublesome. Now I'm going to go with B for this one. He fondly flattered himself. That means he's got an exaggerated sense of his own abilities. In 1943, in the midst of World War II, mathematics professor Grace Hopper was recruited by the U.S. military to help the war effort by solving complex equations. Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just blank. As a pioneering computer programmer, Hopper would help usher in the new digital age. Which choice completes a text so it conforms to the conventions of standard English? I definitely think there's got to be a pause right here between this sentence and the one that follows. So let me see. Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations, comma, though. We can rule out A because for us to use a colon, we need an independent clause to come before it, and that would not make an independent clause. Equations, comma, though, comma. I think we could rule out B as well, since that would create a comma splice. Too many commas. We're connecting two complete sentences here. Let's see. Rule out C, though. It's actually, let me undo this. We'll rule out B for sure, because it's a comma splice. But looking back at A, Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations, though. That could be a complete sentence, so I'm not going to rule that one out just yet. More than just equations, period, though, comma. I think it doesn't make sense to have a full stop right there. Though, as a pioneering computer programmer, wouldn't really be a good way to start off this sentence. More than just equations, though, as a pioneering. And D just doesn't work because we need some kind of punctuation here to set aside these two ideas. So yeah, actually I will go with A for this one. Hopper's subsequent career would involve more than just equations, though. And then we put a colon, and we emphasize the idea that comes next, that as a pioneering computer programmer, Hopper would help usher in the digital age. Next question. A waiter receives tips from each customer. On average, the tip is 15% of the customer's bill. At this rate, which of the following is closest to the tip the waiter can expect when a customer has a bill that is $78.20? Well, let's see, $78.20. To get the tip amount, we just need to multiply by 15%, and that's 0.15. So I'm sure you guys can calculate this out. That would give us $11.73. That's not one of the answer choices, but the closest one is there, and that's going to be $12. Alright, next one. Sample of oak has a density of 807 kilograms per cubic meter. The sample is in the shape of a cube where each edge has a length of 0.90 meters. To the nearest whole number, what is the mass in kilograms of this sample? Let's see, 807 kilograms per meter cubed. We could just multiply by the dimensions, which is 0.90 meters. I guess cubed would be the shorthand way to write this. And that would cancel out meters cubed here and meters cubed here and give us a final answer, 807 times 0.9 cubed. And what is that exactly? 807 times 0.9 cubed would give us to about 588 kilograms. And that's answer choice A. Another math question. Tony spends $80 per month on public transportation. A 10 ride pass costs $12.50 and a single ride pass costs $1.50. If G represents the number of 10 ride passes Tony buys in a month, and T represents the number of single ride passes Tony buys in a month, which of the following equations best represents the relationship between G and T? Well, I know the total has to add up to $80 per month. And 10 ride passes is G. G is the number of 10 ride passes. Whereas T is the number of single ride passes. So I would say that each 10 ride pass is going to be 1250 G. And a single ride pass is going to be 150 T. And a total has to sum up to the total cost, which is $80 per month. And after we formulate that, there's exactly one answer choice that'll match. That's answer choice D. Next question. The solution to this given system of equations is x comma y. What is the value of y? Well, we know the value of x for sure. It has to be x equals to 10. So if we plug that into the second equation, we just get y equals 10 plus 21, which is 31. It's very quick and easy. We get D. Okay, back to reading question. This one's kind of lengthy, but not too bad. Georgia Tech roboticists De'Ara Bryant and Ayanna Howard, along with ethicist Jason Bornstein, were interested in people's perceptions of robots' competence. They recruited participants and asked them how likely they think it is that a robot could do the work required in various occupations. Participants' evaluations varied widely depending on which occupation was being considered. For example, blank. Which choice most effectively uses data from the table to complete the example? Right, the participants' evaluations varied widely. That's what I'm going to focus on. Before I even look at these, I'm going to look at the table. That might save us some time. Some people say, people mostly said it was somewhat or very unlikely that a robot could be, for example, a surgeon. And only a small percentage of people said that this was very likely. In contrast, there was a small percentage of people saying that it was unlikely for a robot to perform the duties of a tour guide, but a high percentage saying that a robot could be a tour guide. So there's a big discrepancy there. I'm going to see if the answer choices have anything that emphasizes this discrepancy. So 47% believe it's likely it could work as a teacher, 30% believe that it's unlikely, no. We want to look at the variance in occupation, not within one occupation. 9% were neutral, which is the same. No, that doesn't show that the evaluations varied widely. It says it's the same, so no. 82% of participants believe it's somewhat or very likely a robot could work as a tour guide. 16% believe that it's somewhat or very likely that a robot could work as a surgeon. Actually, that's the same example we picked up on. So yes, I would pick C. And we could rule out D because it doesn't compare to occupations. So definitely C is going to be the best choice here. Next one, back to math. Rita's total bill at a restaurant was $25, including tax. If she left a tip of 20% of the total bill, what was the amount of the tip? This one is not as simple as the last one. Let's see. So $25, 2500 is equal to the, let's call original price, x, times 1.20 to capture that 20% tip. Um, Sorry, misunderstanding. That would be the equation we want to use if the pre-tax bill was $25. Or sorry, if we were trying to find the pre-tax bill. But the total bill was actually $25, and the tip was left on the total bill. So actually, to get the amount of the tip, all we have to do is multiply $25 into 0.20, which is 1/5 of 25, or $5. Actually, a lot simpler. Here's a nice one. We've got an open-ended question. A small business owner budgets $2,200 to purchase candles. The owner must purchase a minimum of 200 candles to maintain the discounted pricing. If the owner pays $4.90 per candle to purchase small candles and $11.60 per candle to purchase the large candles, what is the maximum number of large candles the owner can purchase to stay within the budget and maintain the discounted pricing? That's interesting. The maximum number of large candles that we can purchase to stay within the budget and maintain discounted pricing. What I might do is try to solve this out. You could try to also graph it out, but what I think I'm going to do is just take the 2200 and divide it by 1160 and see what I get. So what if we only purchased large candles? And what I get is that this is about 189 point something. Obviously that won't work because we need the minimum of 200 candles. So from here you could kind of guess and check, of course. But another thing you could do is just set up a system of equations here. So what we could do when we're taking a look at this equation, I know that the budget is 2200. Right, so 490 per small candle plus 1160 per large candle. That total price is going to come out to 2200. And we also want the constraint that this number of small and large candles sums up to 200. What I'm going to do here is just solve this out. So you could do substitution, you could do elimination, but of course on the digital SAT the fastest way to do this would be to graph the equations. And so I'm going to paste in a snippet of what that looks like. Just did that on Desmos right now. You will get a full Desmos calculator on the digital SAT, so don't worry. I made my S as X variable and the L as the Y variable. Since you can't plot S and L, I just converted them to X and Y. And it looks like the optimal solution here is when S is equal to about 18 and number of large candles is about 182. Of course, we can't buy 182.09, so I'm just going to round that off to number of large candles equals 182. And that should work, right? If we bought just under 182.09, we get to 182, which means we should be right at the budget or just under the budget while still maintaining the 200 candles. So number of large candles 182, that's the solution for this one. Number of small candles would just be 200 minus that, or give us 18. And the total price, you can calculate this, but and if you do, it should come out to about 2,199 and 40 cents. So definitely 182 for this one. Next one's a nice math one. Henry receives $60 gift card to pay for movies online. He uses his gift card to buy 3 movies for $7.50 each. If he spends the rest of his balance on renting movies for $1.50 each, how many can he rent? Quite a simple linear equation for us to set up. If $60, we subtract off the 3 movies that he got for $7.50 each. And of course this is just $22.50. So when we subtract that out, 60 minus $22.50, it's going to be $37.50. And the number of movies he can rent is just that remaining balance, $37.50, divided by $1.50 per movie. So if you do that one out, $37.50 divided by $1.50 should give us 25 movies. That is answer choice B. Not bad. Next down, we got reading and writing next. In assessing the films of Japanese director Akira Kurosawa, blank have missed his equally deep engagement with Japanese artistic traditions, such as Noh theater. Which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? Okay, so when I see this, I know we're dealing with a grammar question. Conventions of standard English, that means grammar question. Let's see. Many critics have focused on Kurosawa's use of Western literary sources, but have missed his equally deep engagement with deep artistic traditions. That could be it. Kurosawa's use of Western literary sources have been the focus of many critics. That doesn't really put the subject first, right? The many critics is actually our subject. There are many critics who have focused, but that just used too many words to introduce the critics. Let's put the critics first. The focus of many critics. This one also does not put the critics as the subject of the sentence. It puts the focus as the subject. So I'm going to say A for being the most concise and for keeping the subject at the forefront of that part of the sentence. Okay, the process of mechanically recycling plastics is often considered blank because of the environmental impact and the loss of material quality that often occurs. But chemist Takunda Chazavachi has helped develop a cleaner process of chemical recycling that converts superabsorbent polymers from diapers into a desirable reusable adhesive. Which choice completes the text with the most logical and precise word or phrase? Process of recycling is considered resilient. Process of recycling is considered inadequate. The process is considered dynamic or considered satisfactory. It seems not satisfactory. It seems not resilient because it gives us negative words here. There's environmental impact and loss of quality. So actually, I would say it matches up with inadequate. Dynamic means it's changing, but that we don't really see that there. We see that it's inadequate, it has a negative impact, and it loses its quality. And it looks like this is the last question I've got for you guys. The table shows the frequency of values in a dataset. What is the minimum value of the dataset? I hope you said immediately 19. This is the list of values. The list of frequencies has nothing to do with the values except for how often they occur. But the actual physical value is still 19. The lowest value, the minimum value, is 19. So that is a solution to this one. If you got this far, thanks for watching. I have social media, I have more of these recordings and PDFs and everything, SAT prep tips on my exploreadvancedtestprep.com page. You can sign up for a weekly SAT tip there. And don't forget to tune in next week for next week's Tutor Tuesday. Thank you very much.